first question on our podcast, we have the horrors of the war support the author's thematic intentions as stated in the novel's epigraph. Use textual support from the novel. Explain how the author believes war to be inglorious and destructive.
Alright, so a quote that we are going to use here says, "We are not youth any longer. We don't want to take the world by storm. We are fleeing. We fly from ourselves, from our life. We were 18 and had begun to love life and the world, and we had to shoot it to pieces." So it's like their world was really good whenever they were young, and just in the blink of an eye, the world flipped like that, and they were in war, fighting against other people every day for like 6 years.
I think that really does show that, because it talks about in the beginning of the book how they were all like classmates and they just went to war, and it really wasn't that bad in the beginning, how they were sitting on the countryside of France smoking cigarettes with his friends, and then it really changed pace by the end of the book, and I think it really does show that. Next up, we're going to discuss how the author represents the brutality of war's effects on those who are called to serve. Use the author's description of a generation who, even though they may have escaped shells, were destroyed by the war to support your claims.
So pretty much they may have came home alive, but they may have friends or other people who aren't alive, and that is in your mind now. So it's what PTSD is. So it's like you can't get the stuff out of your mind, so you're constantly having thoughts about it, and it pretty much haunts your life for the rest of your life.
And the ones that came home, even though they came home, they weren't okay either mentally, or they had an amputation or a very bad trench foot, which would be able to keep them out of work, or they wouldn't be able to sleep at night without remembering what they had seen while they were overseas, or not overseas. That's for America, but just in the trenches in their home country or going and invading. All right, our next question is going to be: several times in the novel, Paul and his friends mentioned that the war was brought about by nameless men who are power hungry. Do you agree with their assessment?
Alright, so I would say yes and no. I would say once once Germany started taking over stuff, once the Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated, it was like there almost had to be war, because that was the next step up from the king in Austria. So were they hungry? I would say yes a little bit, but not as much as they make it sound.
All right, the next one's going to be: do you think that the combatants on both sides see each other the same way, and are all wars brought about by nameless men who want to be who want to be famous? I think that combatants don't see each other the same way in war. I feel like as wars start, they see each other as people, but as it wears on, it really dehumanizes them in a bad way. And I think that wars are brought about by mainly politicians, but I don't think it's always for the want to be famous. I think that the last question that we have is: can both sides be right about the reasons for going to war, for defending their fatherland? I don't think that both sides could be defending their land. They're really not. There shouldn't be a war if both sides are defending. So no, one side's always at fault for attacking. All right. Our next question, number 1 on the bottom part: All Quiet on the Western Front paints a picture of the war that is full of terrifying, grotesque details in an attempt to persuade readers of the horrors of battle. Portrayals of war in other books, however, as well as in films and on television, often ignore the more painful side of battle to glorify fighting. Debate how war should be depicted, not only in literature, but also in other art forms.
So I think it's good to have both sides of the pictures, because it's good to show the harsh environment of war to make people think that wow, that's bad. I don't ever want that to happen. happen. So we'll kind of stay away from that. And then it's good to have like other types of war that shows you that, I mean, it wasn't as bad as it seems. So I think it's good to have both sides of the story.
You know, I agree about the part where you got to represent it in like its worst possible way so that we don't repeat those mistakes. But I actually disagree with the other way. I think that it's good for like to have examples to teach war with that are not as bad, so that you can like teach people about it, and not like, because some people really can't handle how bad it is. So it is better to keep it like more PG, so people can still learn about our history, but not be as grossed out.
Or overwhelmed.
Yeah, or overwhelmed, because it is a very overwhelming thing.
Yeah, and it's if you like Bryce was saying, if you have the books, if you only have the books that are overwhelming and show the grotesque details of the war, if there's going to be someone from war that just wants a recap, they're not going to want to read the book or see the art that's very horrifying about the war.
Yeah, sometimes I just want the historical details and not necessarily the really dirty part of it and the part that not everybody wants to talk about. All right, that's going to be it. Thank you, Mr. Krebs.
Thank you.